Byakuya, a very mysterious young man who shows no emotion, no mercy upon anyone he meets in the Hollow Knight, and has an appetite that seems to be near bottomless. Even Enkidu, in a victory quote, takes notice of this unusual trait within him. He is truly a monstrous being. But before he became an in-birth, he was someone completely different. A loving brother who will protect his older sister from anyone or anything. Her name is Tsukiyomi. Not only is she his older sister, she was the one and only person he didn't want to be separated from. They went to the same school. He'd also wait for her after school, and she'll help him with his homework. He even says when she said good morning to him, he felt kinda guilty if he didn't respond back. He didn't want to make her worry about him over anything, so he always responded back, all for the sake to see her smile. They spent a lot of time with each other, and they loved each other very much. One day, after the school's testing was done, they were released early, and decided to meet up by the nearby river to do some shopping. Byakuya was the first one there, and he waits by the river, but when she arrives, she was carrying a lot of bags, struggling with them even. Seeing this, Byakuya rushes towards her to help her with them, apologizing at the same time. This was their day off after school, and she went and bought Byakuya clothes, alongside with sweets for the both of them. These simple moments are something that Byakuya cherished the most, even without the things she bought him. Seeing her smile and being with her is all Byakuya needed to be happy. She even begins to plan on what to do for their next day off. She was excited, to the point where she was indecisive on what to actually do. So, she asked Byakuya what he wanted. He even says that he practically shed tears of joy at that moment. But, what he said was quite simple. She went shopping for him, why not go shopping for her? And she was beyond excited to hear that. The day was almost done and they began to walk home. But Tsukiyomi immediately remembers she forgot something particular from another store. Byakuya insisted to go together to get whatever she forgot, but she was against it, cause it was something she couldn't tell him. So she tells him to wait here and she'll go get it by herself. Byakuya didn't like that at all. He even states that he'll go even with all the things he's carrying or just leave them behind. Hearing this, she was kind of upset though. Byakuya saw this and couldn't believe the words that came out from him. He didn't want to push her or give her any kind of trouble, or even make her angry, so he stayed behind with the bags and let her go alone. Minutes passed, and Byakuya was getting kinda worried, but figured maybe there was a line or maybe the store was a lot further than he expected, even sending a text to her to see if she at least got what she needed. But there was no response. 30 minutes passed, and he began to worry. He called her multiple times, but for some reason, it wouldn't even connect. He had a bad feeling about the whole thing, and ran towards the direction where she disappeared to. He didn't know what store she went to, so he was running blind around the entire city, calling her out, hoping for a response. At this time, the people around him were laughing at him. They were laughing because he looked like a lost child, but he could care less about them and what they thought, and continued to shout and look for her. He even began to pray a bit as he begins to catch his breath, praying that this bad feeling he has meant nothing. But nearly on the verge of collapsing, he saw it. A crowd of people formed on the street. Byakuya began to feel an emotion coming from deep within him, but kept saying that he didn't need to go there, it's pointless. But he caught someone that said this, that it was sad for someone so young. He kept refusing to face the truth, but began to walk towards that crowd. Each and every step he took, he kept thinking that it's not her, it's impossible. Underneath his breath, he kept calling her out. And as he moved closer, the crowd began to make way for him. He began to cry as he continued to walk towards the center, and then he saw it. A simple car accident. but on the side was a young girl with pale skin and a navy blue uniform. He fell to his knees, but even then he didn't want to face this reality, saying how it can't be true. This isn't his sister. Then he saw something alongside her, a small gift. He immediately thought it could have been his fault. It's because he asked for presents. That's why she went all the way back to get that gift for him. He began to get mad at himself for even thinking that this person on the ground was someone else, his beautiful sister. And finally, he let out his screams of anguish. After it all, he doesn't even remember how he sleeps now. The reason he sleeps was to try and see his sister in his dreams at least. His pillow is always wet from his tears. Byakuya was alone, and he even puts the blame on himself. The one moment where he's not by her side, the one moment where he wasn't stubborn enough to be by her side, the one time he leaves her, she dies. He was lost. He even begins screaming what he's supposed to do now, screaming for his sister to answer him. Then he broke. He began overthinking things and came to a conclusion that his sister was still out there in the night, and he's gonna go pick her up. With her name Tsukiyomi, he was positive that if he just wanders under the midnight hour, when the moon surfaces, he'll see her again, saying how he'll play with her, cook with her, study with her, laugh together again, cry together, fight together, and stop existing together. He walks out during a night to bring her back home. He walks through the city calling for her to come out, but due to the nightlife, it was almost impossible to hear her. He soon started shouting to everyone around him, screaming that they're too loud and to shut up so he can hear his sisters calling, even saying why it'd have to be her that had to die, that they should have been the ones to die instead. They all started laughing at him, mocking him. He couldn't take it anymore. Not the mocking or being laughed at. He couldn't take in the reality that his sister was gone. He felt his heart about to tear apart, and a moment later, he stopped caring. In his head was only daydreams to avoid reality. He even admits that his existence worked because of his sister, someone who was beautiful and kind. Unlike himself, he was fine being empty, useless. As long as she was by his side, she filled that emptiness and defined what it meant to live as a human. But now that she's gone, an empty vessel has no place and just gets thrown away. The only person he needs to think of was her and only her, and he couldn't keep her waiting, so he kept walking, body heavy, further away from the city. As he walked, he finally stepped into something. What he saw was a flash of light and was caught by a thick black fog. He started laughing at the situation, saying how he was just walking to get his sister and now he's lost. He felt tired after all the thinking and just wanted to sleep in this darkness forever. He soon felt drops of rain on his face from the dark fog, and as soon as he wiped his face, he was greeted by two huge bright red lights. They started moving all around in the dark fog, and as soon as he tried to see what was happening, he realized that he couldn't move, and felt the air get sticky. All of a sudden, his entire body was caught by whatever this thing was, and he soon found himself unable to breathe. His sight became blurry, and felt that his consciousness was fading. He was being eaten alive, whole, by whatever this thing was. Then it hit him. A while back, he remembered that his sister told him about a shadow that consumed people. He laughed again after coming to this realization, and welcomed this way of dying, saying it was fitting for someone as pathetic as him. He thanks it in his head, and said his final words, "Sis, I'll head over now." As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw her, his sister at long last. He even hears her simply saying good morning at that moment. He finally felt relieved after all this time. This was all that he wanted after the accident. He assumed the last light that he saw was really her. Then, he finally said his farewell to her, and says to her, if there is an afterlife, he'll live to be strong, and hopes that she'll be there with him. He heard birds chirping in the distance, and found himself sleeping in the middle of a grassy field near the town. Confused, he begins to gather the information on what actually happened last night, and checked his body. He was alive. Whatever happened that night, he overcame death, and felt massive satisfaction. But it wasn't for that. It was cause he got to see his sister again. The empty feeling he had ever since the accident was gone. He felt alive. He even says he's not going to die anymore, saying how if he leaves this world just for her, she'll be mad at him, even saying how he may find something of value during it all. But then he felt something on his back, something like power gathering. Then popped something sharp, like a beast's fang. Even when walking or trying to push it back into his back, it wouldn't go away. Yes, this was weird, but to him, looking at them, it was like they were telling him to live on. He again assumed that this was the gift that his sister got for him after all. The night was when he got to see his sister, but he begins to think that his sister was somewhere in the night, and he swore that he'll come back every night to try and save her. And ever since then, he could finally sleep again.